Valari stood silently as the earth's wind brushed against her pale, silver skin. Her eyes, sharp, calm, and without emotion, scanned the group of human officials waiting to welcome her. She was tall and elegant, dressed in the formal robes of the Varellan High Council. Her presence was quiet but powerful. The humans had been told what to expect. She does not feel emotions like we do, the Earth Ambassador had warned. She cannot love, cannot care, cannot even smile. Don't be offended. That's just how the Varellans are. Valari had heard those words before on every world she visited. Her people were known across the stars for their intelligence and logic. The Varellans had removed emotions from their genetics long ago, believing that feelings caused weakness, mistakes, and wars. They had built a peaceful, advanced civilization, one without laughter or tears. She walked slowly across the landing field, her steps smooth and precise. No expression crossed her face as she nodded to the Earth Ambassador. "I am Valaria Varellan," she said, in a flat but clear voice. "I come in peace, for study and observation?" The ambassador smiled and shook her hand gently. "We're honored to have you here. Please let us know if you need anything during your stay." Valari simply nodded. "I require a full tour of your relief camps. I must observe how your species handles post-conflict recovery and care." That evening she was taken to the Ilias refugee camp. It was located near the edge of an area once damaged by a failed alien mining operation. The humans had built shelters, medical tents, and food stations. Families, including children, had come here from many nearby towns. As she walked through the camp, Valari's eyes moved across the humans with careful attention. She took notes in her memory device, recording details about food supply, water, distribution, and medical treatments, but she said little. She showed no signs of surprise, sadness, or concern. A few children ran past her, playing with a ball made of tied fabric. One of them looked up and laughed, waving at her. "Hi, Space!" "Lady," he shouted. "Var." I paused, her head tilting slightly. She didn't respond, but watched the child for a long moment before walking on. Liam, a young aid worker from Earth, noticed the pause. He had been following her since she arrived, helping answer her questions. "You okay?" Liam asked. "I am functioning," Valari replied simply. "That human child. Why did he smile at me?" Liam smiled a little himself. "He probably just liked your robe, or maybe he thought you looked cool. I do not understand the need for smiling. It's how we show happiness or friendliness. It's a human thing." Valari gave a small nod as if storing the information. Then she turned her attention to the medical tent. Inside, a human nurse was comforting a crying baby, gently rocking it in her arms. The child had a fever and had lost both parents during the evacuation of a nearby town. Valari looked at the baby carefully. Her expression didn't change, but she stayed near the tent's entrance longer than needed. Her eyes seemed to study the child's face with unusual focus. Later that night, as the stars rose above the camp, the Earth team gathered in the main tent for updates. Valari sat quietly, in one corner reviewing her data. Liam came over with 2 mugs of warm tea. "I know you don't eat or drink the way we do, but it's a gesture," he said, placing a mug in front of her. I glanced at it. Gesture accepted. He sat across from her. "You've been to many worlds, haven't you?" "Yes, over 36 planetary colonies and 6 major homeworlds." "Have you ever seen a baby cry before?" Valari looked up. "I have seen infants in many species. I do not recall hearing them cry in such a manner. It was loud," Liam chuckled softly. "It's not just loud, it's emotional. Babies cry when they need something, food, comfort, love. It's how they survive?" Valari didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, "Love, that is a word often used by your people, but it does not exist in Varellan society." "I heard that," Liam said, sipping his tea. "But maybe that's because no one ever showed you what it looks like." Valari's eyes met his for a brief second. No smile, no frown, just quiet. "I will visit the camp again tomorrow," she said. "I need more data." "Sure," Liam sighed. But maybe don't just collect data, try to observe. With your heart, Valari turned away, pretending not to hear. But that night, as she returned to her quarters, she saw the baby again in her mind, the way it reached up, the way it cried, for the first time in her long life. She did not know how to delete the image. The next day, Valari returned to Ilias refugee camp before sunrise. The soft light of dawn made the tents look like small, glowing boxes. The camp was quieter than before. Many people were still sleeping or resting from the day before. Valari moved slowly between the tents, her sharp eyes looking for new details. She noticed a group of children playing near a broken water pump. Their laughter was soft but full of life. One little girl, no older than 3, was holding a small doll wrapped in cloth. Valari stopped and watched the girl. The child's eyes met hers for a moment, and then the girl smiled shyly. Valari did not smile back, but her body felt strange. She had no word for it, but it was a new feeling inside, a small, soft warmth. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly. A loud alarm echoed through the camp. The humans looked up, confused and scared. Valari's head turned quickly toward the source. A huge storm was coming fast, a rare and violent space weather event called an orbital electrical storm. It could damage the camp badly if no one took action. Everyone to shelter! A voice shouted. Valari joined the human workers rushing to help the people. Tents were being tied down, supplies were moved to stronger buildings, and children were being gathered quickly. Valari moved with purpose. Her tall figure helped her reach places faster than most humans. As the storm grew closer, the sky turned dark with strange purple and green clouds. The wind picked up, blowing dust and small debris everywhere. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the far side of the camp. One of the large tents had collapsed from the wind. Inside, cries were heard. People trapped. Valari did not hesitate. She pushed through the crowd and ran toward the wreckage. Dust filled the air, making it hard to see. From the rubble, a small sound caught her attention, a baby crying. The baby was lying on the ground, wrapped in torn blankets. Its face was pale and wet with tears. No one was near the child. Valari quickly lifted the infant into her arms. The crying slowed as she held the baby close, her strong arms wrapping carefully to protect it from the storm. People around her stared in shock. The Varellans were not known for this kind of action, especially not to small, helpless beings. Liam came running to her side, shouting, "Valari, are you all right? The storm is dangerous." "I am fine," she said, holding the baby steady. The child needed protection. The baby stopped crying and looked up at Valari with big, trusting eyes. A strange calm seemed to settle over the camp. The storm raged for nearly an hour. Rain hammered down, winds screamed, and lightning flashed across the sky. Valari stayed inside the shelter with the baby, keeping it safe and warm. When the storm finally passed, the camp was damaged but still standing. Some tents had been flattened. Supplies were scattered, and many were cold and wet. But no lives were lost. Valari handed the baby to a nurse nearby. The woman smiled gratefully. "Thank you, you saved her." Valari said nothing. She only nodded and turned away. That night, back in her quarters, Valari sat quietly. The baby's face stayed in her mind, the small, fragile human so full of life but in need of care. She studied the feelings stirring inside her chest, feelings she did not understand. Her people called it emotional noise. It was dangerous, a distraction from logic and duty. Valari tried to push it away, but the warmth stayed, growing. Slowly, Liam visited her again, carrying a small book. "This is a book about human families," he said, placing it on the table. "It explains how people take care of each other, how love works. Maybe it will help you understand." Valari opened the book and looked at the pictures of smiling parents holding babies, children playing with friends and families eating together. The words were simple but full of meaning. "I will read this," Valari said softly. "Thank you," Liam smiled. "If you want, I can help explain it to you." Valari looked at him. "That may be useful." Over the next few days, Valari spent more time at the camp. She watched how humans helped each other, how they smiled even when times were hard. She saw mothers holding children close, fathers teaching their sons and daughters, and friends sharing food. One afternoon, Valari visited the hospital where the rescued baby was staying. The child was named Myra. She was weak but improving. Valari stood by the crib and watched Myra sleep. Suddenly, Myra's eyes opened and looked straight at Valari. The baby reached out a tiny hand and touched Valari's arm. A spark of something warm passed through Valari's body. She froze. The nurses watching smiled. "Myra seems to like you." Valari looked down at the small hand still resting on her arm. "Why do I feel this?" she whispered. Liam was there too, standing quietly. "That's called connection. It's the start of love." Valari shook her head. "I have been told I cannot feel love." "But maybe you just never had the chance," Liam said. That night, Valari had a strange dream. She saw herself holding Myra, walking through green fields under a bright sun. The baby laughed, and Valari's face felt warm and peaceful. When she woke, the feeling stayed with her. Valari knew something inside her was changing, but her own people would not understand. The Varellan leaders monitored her closely now. They warned her, "Do not let these emotions take over. You must complete your mission and return." Valari looked at the stars outside her window and made a quiet promise. She would learn what this new feeling was, even if it meant breaking the rules. Days passed, but Valari's thoughts stayed with the baby named Myra. Her world, once so clear and logical, was becoming confusing. The feeling inside her was strong, something her people called emotional noise, but it felt more like a gentle warmth. She could not ignore. Her superiors from the Varellan High Council were watching her closely. They sent messages reminding her of her duty. "You are an emissary of logic, not of feeling. Do not lose control." Valari answered only with short reports and no mention of her personal thoughts. But inside she was changing. One morning, Liam came to her quarters with a small device. It looked like a simple box with pictures and sounds. "This is a human family memory recorder," he said. "It helps capture moments of love, care, and connection." Valari took the device carefully. She pressed a button, and a video played. It showed a mother holding her child, singing softly while rocking the baby to sleep. The mother smiled with pure joy. Valari watched silently, studying every movement, every sound. The images stirred something deep inside her. For the first time, she felt a longing, a wish to understand what she was seeing. Later that day, Valari asked Liam to take her to the hospital to see Myra. The nurses greeted her warmly. Myra lay in her crib, eyes bright and curious. When Valari approached, the baby reached out and grabbed her finger with tiny strength. The warmth spread again in Valari's chest. It was unlike anything she had known. "You're special to her," a nurse said kindly. Valari nodded, unable to speak. She sat beside the crib for hours, watching the baby breathe softly. At night, Valari could not sleep. She thought about her people, their strict rules, and the life she had known. Her species believed emotions were a weakness, a danger to their peaceful world. But here on Earth she saw how feelings brought strength, hope, and survival. The next day, Valari asked Liam more questions about human families. "Why do humans care so much for their children?" she asked. Liam smiled gently. "Because children are the future, and love makes us protect and support each other. It's how we survive together." Valari processed this information slowly. It made sense in a new way. Logic was important, yes, but so was connection. Her people began to notice the change in her behavior. The Varellan leaders sent a warning through her communicator. "You are straying from your mission. Cease this emotional engagement immediately." Valari did not reply. Instead, she took a small walk to the camp where she had first met Myra. Children were playing under the warm sun, their laughter filling the air. Valari watched quietly as mothers tended their little ones. One mother smiled at Valari and said, "You have a gentle heart, even if you do not show it." Valari's face remained calm, but inside she felt a small hope bloom. Later that evening, Valari dreamed again of Myra. In her dream, they were walking together through a field of flowers. Myra laughed and reached out to Valari, who held the Baby close with a feeling she could only describe as ... love. When she woke, Valari knew she had to learn more. She began reading human books about emotions, families, and care. Liam helped her understand stories about trust, kindness, and forgiveness. Her own species called her actions dangerous. Some Varellan officers warned she might lose herself forever. But Valari felt stronger than ever. One afternoon, Valari was called to a meeting with the Varellan Council. "You are an ambassador," the leader said sternly. "Your duty is to observe, not to feel. We demand you end this interference." Valari looked calmly at the council members. "I am learning about a new form of strength. It is not weakness, but power. The power of love." There was silence. The council warned her once more. "Continue this path, and you will be recalled for reconditioning." Valari made no answer. She knew what she wanted. That night, she returned to Myra's side in the hospital. The baby smiled and reached for her again. Valari whispered softly, "I do not know what this feeling is, but I will protect you, always." She held Myra's tiny hand, feeling the warmth of a new hope grow inside her. For the first time, Valari understood love was not a weakness. It was the strongest force in the universe. Valari's days became filled with quiet visits to the hospital where Myra stayed. She no longer saw the baby as a subject to observe, but as someone she cared for deeply. This new feeling was strange, yet it warmed her heart in ways she could never have imagined. The Varellan delegation was growing restless. They did not understand why their perfect emissary was spending so much time with a fragile human child. They whispered among themselves, calling her defective and emotionally unstable. One evening, a stern Varellan officer named Kellen came to Valari's quarters. His face was sharp, his voice cold. "Valari," he said, "your attachment to this infant is a liability. Your mission is at risk. You must end this behavior immediately." Valari looked at him calmly. "I am not endangering the mission. I am learning about strength beyond logic." Kellen's eyes narrowed. Feelings cloud judgment. "You will be recalled if this continues." Valari stood her ground. "If I must be recalled for love, then so be it." Kellen turned and left without another word. Valar, I knew the threat was real. Her people did not tolerate emotion, but she had seen the strength and love, how it brought hope and courage to humans facing danger. One afternoon, Valari was invited to a meeting with Earth leaders. They wanted to discuss the future of the Varellan mission and their relations with humans. During the meeting, a doctor from the hospital spoke up. "Valari has saved lives here. Her actions showed kindness and courage. She is not just an observer. She is a part of our community." Valari watched as the humans spoke warmly about the baby and her care. She felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. After the meeting, Liam approached her with a gentle smile. "You're changing things, Valari. You're teaching both humans and Varellans what love really means." Valari nodded slowly. "Love is a power I never understood, but now I feel it within me." That night, Valari dreamed again. Myra was laughing and crawling toward her with open arms. Valari reached out and picked up the child. Suddenly, the dream changed. Varellan leaders surrounded her, demanding she return to their homeworld. But Valari held Myra close and stood firm when she woke. The dream stayed with her, a warning and a choice. Days later, the Varellan High Council sent a message. "Return to Varellan immediately. Your mission is over." Valari knew what she must do. She looked at Myra's sleeping face and whispered, "I will not leave you." She made a decision that would change her life forever. Valari went to the Earth leaders and asked for permission to stay. She wanted to protect Myra and learn more about this strange and wonderful feeling called love. The humans were surprised but welcomed her request. They saw Valari's bravery and the kindness in her actions. Valari stayed at the hospital, becoming a guardian to Myra. Her cold, logical heart was melting into warmth. Her people called her a traitor, but Valari did not care. She had found something worth more than logic. She had found love. For the first time in her long life, Valari smiled not with her face, but with her soul. Valari's choice to stay on Earth sent ripples through both human and Varellan worlds. Her decision was a bold break from everything her people believed. But for Valari, The thought of leaving little Myra behind was impossible. Days after receiving permission to stay, Villari settled into a new life, one filled with hope and challenges. The hospital had become her home, and Myra was her responsibility. Every morning Villari woke early. She helped the nurses prepare for the day and spent hours beside Myra's crib, watching over the child with quiet care. Her movements were gentle, careful, like she was protecting something precious. One afternoon, Villari took Myra outside for the first time. The sun was warm and the air smelled of fresh grass. Myra's eyes lit up as she felt the sunlight on her skin. She reached out and tried to crawl toward Villari. Villari smiled softly. She bent down and held Myra close. For a moment, the world felt still, just a mother and child sharing a peaceful afternoon, but far away. On the Varellan homeworld, the council was not pleased. They sent urgent messages demanding Villari return immediately. They called her actions reckless and warned that her emotions could endanger their entire mission. A Varellan ship appeared in Earth's orbit, ready to take Villari home. But she refused. "I have chosen my path," Villari said firmly to the human officials. "I will not return without Myra." The humans supported her. They understood the bond she had formed and agreed to protect her choice. Meanwhile, Villari faced new challenges on Earth. She was different from humans and had to learn many things: how to laugh, how to cry, and how to care in ways she never imagined. Liam visited often, bringing books, stories, and advice. He told her about human customs and helped her understand feelings she had never felt before. One evening, Liam asked, "Villari, do you think you're ready to be a mother?" Villari looked thoughtful. "I do not know what it means fully, but I feel a need to protect Myra, to keep her safe and happy." "That's what being a mother is," Liam smiled. "It's love in action." Villari's heart felt full. She knew her life had changed forever. As weeks passed, Myra grew stronger. She smiled more and reached for Villari often. Villari learned to respond, to laugh when Myra laughed, and to comfort her when she cried. The Varellan Council grew angrier. They sent envoys to Earth to demand Villari's return. They called her a traitor and warned of consequences, but Villari was not afraid. She stood with the humans and the baby she loved. One night, a secret message arrived from the Varellan leaders. They offered a choice: come home and forget this emotional weakness, or remain on Earth and be cast out forever. Villari looked at Myra sleeping peacefully beside her. The choice was clear. She replied, "I choose love." From that moment, Villari's life was no longer about duty to her species. It was about love, family, and a future she would build with Myra. The humans called her brave. The Varellans called her lost, but Villari only smiled softly and held Myra close. Knowing she had found something no one could take away, Villari's decision to stay on Earth and care for Myra caused a great stir among the Varellan High Council. They could not accept that one of their own had chosen emotion over duty. For them, Villari was a symbol of failure, a reminder that emotions were dangerous and destructive. Back on Earth, Villari was calm but aware of the growing tension. Every day she faced questions from both humans and Varellans. Some humans admired her courage and kindness. Others were unsure if they could trust someone from such an emotionless species. One morning, Villari received a formal message from the Varellan Council. It was a summons to return home immediately for a special hearing. They wanted to judge her emotional deviation and decide her fate. Villari knew this was serious. The council had the power to erase her memories or force her to return by any means, but she also knew that she had changed deeply. She could no longer be the same unemotional being she once was. Liam stood by her side. "We will support you, Villari. Whatever happens, you're not alone." Villari nodded with quiet gratitude. "Thank you, Liam. Your kindness has shown me the true meaning of strength." The day of the hearing arrived. Villari was taken to a large chamber on the Varellan homeworld. The walls were cold and gray, and the council members sat high above her. Watching silently, the council leader spoke first. "Villari, you have broken the code of our people. You have allowed feelings to cloud your judgment. Explain yourself." Villari stood tall. "I have learned that love is not a weakness. It is a force that gives life meaning and power. My actions have saved a human child. I do not regret my choice. A murmur passed through the council. Some members looked angry. Others were curious. One elder said, "Love causes suffering and pain." "It is not natural for us." Valari shook her head gently. "On Earth, love brings hope and courage. It helps people survive and grow stronger. I have seen this power with my own eyes." Another council member asked, "Will you abandon your people for this feeling?" Valari looked at them steadily. "I have chosen a new path, one that honors both my past and my future." The council debated long into the night. Some wanted to punish Valari, to erase her memories and send her back to their world as if nothing had happened. Others saw a new possibility that emotions could be the next step in their evolution. Finally, the council made their decision. Valari was given a choice: return home and forget all she had learned, or stay on Earth as an exile, free to live with the human child she had come to love. Valari's heart was steady as she answered, "I choose to stay." She returned to Earth with a sense of peace. Her people might see her as lost, but she had found something far greater. At the hospital, Myra was waiting. The baby smiled and reached for Valari's hand. Valari held her close and whispered, "I am here. I will never leave you." In the weeks that followed, Valari began to build a new life. She learned how to care for Myra in new ways, singing soft songs, telling stories, and playing simple games. Her once cold heart grew warm and full of joy. Liam continued to help her. He taught her about human culture, friendship, and the strength found in love. Together they worked to show the world that differences could bring new hope. Valari's story spread quickly. People from many worlds began to see that even the most emotionless beings could change. That love was not a weakness, but a bridge between worlds. Valari and Myra became a symbol of hope, proof that no matter where you come from, the power of love can unite us all. And Valari knew, deep inside, that this was only the beginning of her new journey. Valari sat quietly in the small garden outside the hospital. A soft breeze moved the leaves gently, and the sun cast warm light over everything. Beside her, little Myra was playing with a colorful ball. The baby's laughter was pure and bright, filling the space with joy. Valari watched Myra closely. The child's happiness made something inside her heart glow, a feeling she had never known before. It was love. Simple, pure, and strong. For many years, Valari had lived without emotions. Her people believed that feelings were a flaw, something to remove from their lives. But now, she knew that love was the greatest strength of all. One afternoon, a group of human leaders came to visit Valari. They wanted to talk about her future on Earth, and how she could help build better relations between humans and Varellans. Valari stood tall and spoke with calm confidence. "I will do everything I can to help both our peoples understand each other." The leaders smiled and welcomed her offer. They saw that Valari was more than an ambassador. She was a bridge between two worlds. That evening, Valari sat with Liam and Myra. Liam asked, "Do you ever miss your homeworld?" Valari thought for a moment. "I miss the people I knew. But I have found a new home here with Myra, with you, with humans." Myra giggled and reached up to touch Valari's face. Valari smiled softly and wrapped the child in her arms. A few months later, a new message arrived from the Varellan High Council. They invited Valari to speak at a special gathering, a chance to share what she had learned. Valari accepted. She traveled to the Grand Hall on her home planet. Standing before the leaders who had once condemned her, she spoke clearly and without fear. "I came to Earth to observe, but I found something greater, love. It taught me that emotions are not weaknesses. They are the source of courage, hope, and unity." The room was silent. Some leaders looked moved, others uncertain. But Valari's words had planted a seed. When she returned to Earth, Valari knew her journey was just beginning. She had a new mission: to show her people that love could bring peace and strength to all. Back in the hospital, Myra took her first steps. Valari cheered, tears of joy in her eyes. She knew she was not alone anymore. Together, Valari and Myra faced the future, united by a love that crossed stars and species. They proved that even those told they could not love could find the greatest power in the universe. And that power would change everything.